Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan. $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
It's homecoming season at HBCUs, when generations of alumni come together to celebrate Black culture and community. State Farm honors the strength of those communities and legacy, pride, and unstoppable energy of the HBCU family. That's why State Farm agents are committed to helping you choose the coverage you need so you can protect the things that matter most. And that's something to celebrate too. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Scary, a Paranormal Podcast. Before we get into this week's episode, I just want to take a minute and say thank you to all the kind messages I've received during the week about there being a new podcast episode. As well as that, thank you very much for your very positive and kind reviews that you've left on various platforms. It really helps the show to grow and get seen. So thank you very much. I also want to say a special thank you to our new Patreon subscribers who are Tony Ganebe, Faith Shaw and Philip Quaylen Donnelly. Thank you so much for signing up to the show. If this is something that you're interested in, you can find the link to the show's Patreon in this episode's show notes, where you gain access to exclusive Scary, a Paranormal Podcast episodes, as well as exclusive content. And there should be a new Patreon episode released very soon, so keep an eye out for that. Now, let's get into this week's paranormal encounter. My paranormal encounter happened during my college years. I used to work at this diner, the type of place that served greasy burgers and really bad coffee. I only worked there for about 5 or 6 months. You'd come home smelling of grease and the tips were really bad. It had been one of those days that just seemed to drag on forever. And it was really busy. Normally when it's busy, the day will fly by, but it felt like every time I looked at the clock, it was after reversing. By the time my shift was finished, it was way past midnight, and I was beat. Like I said, it had been a really busy shift, and busy shifts used to attract weird customers. I hadn't served this customer, but my colleague, as we were working, started to tell me about a woman who had been in earlier in the day and had ordered coffee. She said that this woman just sat there and never even took a sip of the coffee and ended up leaving without paying. It was odd, but there was a few odd characters in the town, so what can you do? I vaguely remembered her sitting near the end of the diner on her own. She had long brown hair and quite a thin frame with a very serious look on her face. I had passed her a few times and flashed a smile, but she didn't really react. The weird thing was, none of us seemed to notice her leave. Fast forward to the end of the shift and it's finally time to go home. There's 2 routes to my home. A shortcut that will shave about 15 minutes off the walk, or a well-lit, longer route that's definitely safer. That night, tiredness tempted me to take the shortcut. If I could go back in time, I'd walk the longer route 50 times over. The shortcut, it was a mixture of road that veered off into a small dirt track. The part on the road was really dimly lit, but I just wanted to get home as quick as possible, get home and crash. About 10 minutes into the walk, I noticed that there was someone walking behind me. Pretty far away, on their own like me. And I could tell it was a woman. She was moving really slow, and it was very unusual to see a woman walking that route at that time of night. Every time I turned around to gauge where she was, she would slow her pace and slightly dip into the shadow, but then would look behind her. This happened a few times, so I got the impression that there was another person on the route behind her, out of my view. After a few glances over my shoulder, I realised that she was getting slightly closer to me. That's when I realised that the woman walking behind me was the same woman that had been in the diner earlier and left without paying. I continued on my route. As I got closer to the point where I needed to take myself off the road and onto a dirt track that cut across an area to take me home, I gave one last glance over my shoulder. I could see that she was noticeably closer to me now, and I could clearly see the expression on her face, which was one of fear. I thought maybe I had frightened her. I shouted back at her, "Are you okay?" And she didn't reply, stood still, looking behind her into the darkness. So I repeated myself, "Are you okay?" Nothing. No response. I made a decision just to continue on because maybe I was frightening her and she just felt vulnerable. I turned on the torch on my phone and put my head down and tried to walk as fast as I could past the dodgy part of the route. As I made my way down the dirt track, after a little bit I looked over my shoulder to see if this woman was turning the corner to follow me onto this path. And as I looked, she walked straight on by. Part of me was a little bit relieved because she was starting to freak me out. I remember standing there for a few moments and watching the gap to see if there was somebody following her. I stood there for a few minutes and nobody passed. So I turned and continued on my way. After I took a few steps, that's when I heard running coming from behind me. Running that was coming towards me. I looked over my shoulder and it was the woman. I'll never forget the look on her face. It was pure anger. She was nearly growling with her mouth and her eyes were just looking right through me. I didn't think, I just ran. I ran as fast as I could. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. I couldn't dare to look back. But I could hear her. I could hear her growling and I could hear she was getting closer. I didn't know if she had some sort of mental problem or what the story was with her, but she looked like she was ready to attack. Even though it was all probably seconds, it felt like an eternity. I was running, being chased by this crazy woman. I still remember the feeling of knowing that she was gaining on me, and at one point I could feel her right behind me. I could feel her footsteps hitting the ground and the vibration. I knew at any moment she was going to make contact with me. And just when that happened and I turned around, this wall of air pushed right into me and past me, and then there was nothing. She had vanished. It was the end of the dirt track, and it was just me and this still night. It was terrifying. I made it home, locked the door, tried to calm down. But I couldn't sleep the whole night. The next day I ended up telling my housemates what had happened. I think they just thought I was pulling their leg, trying to scare them. The whole thing really messed with my mind. I genuinely thought I was developing some sort of mental illness. I had hallucinated something, and I had this fear for ages that what I was seeing at times wasn't real. I'd be checking with family and friends, do you see that too? And they'd be like, yeah. Looking at me, frowning, like, yeah, of course I see it. I was just constantly checking. Was I hallucinating? Was that person real? Was that weird character a real person, or was it something that my mind is making up right now? But I keep kind of comforting myself to know that, well, that woman was in the diner. My colleague served her. She remembered her. She was physical. So she saw her, she must be real. I was tired, but I wasn't so tired that I was hallucinating, and I had never hallucinated before in my life, ever. And I always imagined if I was to hallucinate, that it wouldn't go on for such a long time, and I wouldn't be able to feel some of the physical things, like feel her footsteps, feel the vibrations of them close to mine, hear her. Then the nightmare started. I would have a reoccurring nightmare pretty much every night. It would be the same scene, me walking home, and then this woman chasing me. Except in the dream, the details of her face were more prominent. I knew what her nose looked like. I now knew that her eyes were blue. I'd wake up absolutely terrified. It was like I was being traumatized by this event over and over. Slowly, the nightmares started to dissipate. One night I was doing another shift in the diner, and it was just me and a colleague that were left to close up. And I heard someone come into the diner. We had been cleaning in the back. I thought that the door had been locked, so I went out to tell them that we were closed, basically. When I went out, there was nobody there. I looked up and down. I went over, locked the door, and just as I went to walk in the back, I saw movement on my left-hand side. As I turned my head, my eyes met with that woman. The same woman that chased me, and the same woman in my nightmare. Our eyes connected just for a few moments, and then she just vanished. After that, I never saw her again. I never walked that route ever again. I always took the long way home. I was only there for a couple of months, and then ended up moving to a different city, but I've never gone back there. Thank you to Lachlan for sending in his paranormal encounter. Definitely will not be taking any walks at night anytime soon on my own. If you have your own paranormal encounter that you would like me to narrate on the show, you can send it to scaryaparanormalpodcast@gmail.com, and it just might get read out on the show. And don't forget to make sure you're following or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I've been your host, Will. Thank you for listening to this week's episode, and join me next time for another episode of Scary.
Hi, I'm Casey, host of the Casefile podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile, offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked. With Boost Mobile, you get nationwide coverage and fast network speeds at a fraction of the price. Why pay more for the same great service? Unlimited plans start at just $25 a month, and you won't be sacrificing coverage to save. So why wait? Start saving with Boost today. The Boost mobile network, together with their roaming partners, covers 99% of the US population. 5G speeds not available in all areas. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find us online at boostmobile.com. Money back guarantee. Try Boost Mobile risk-free for 30 days. If you don't like us, you get your money back. Requires port-in and auto-pay. Customers who cancel within 30 days of activation will have Boost service fees refunded. Activation fees, if applicable, and phone payments will not be refunded.